Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme, exploring indie rock. We're going to be checking out a band called The National, which sounds familiar, but I don't believe we've had on the channel before. This track is the opening track of the album Boxer. The song is called Fake Empire. Let's see what The National's bringing to the channel today. Yeah, kind of bouncy with that 16th note before the downbeat.
Stay out super late.
Actually, just the general syncopation between the two piano parts.
Put a little something in our lemonade and take it with us. We're half away in a fake empire. We're half awake in a fake empire. Tiptoe through our shiny city with our diamond slippers on. Do our gay ballet nights. Bluebirds on our shoulders. We're half awake in a fake empire.
It sounds like it's just on the verge of falling apart.
In a fake empire.
And another rhythm, polyrhythm coming in, giving us a bit of a hemiola with the 3 against 2, the 3 on piano, the 2 on drums. Oh, actually, I take that back. The 3 are on drums. It's 3 against 4. It's not a full hemiola. Yep.
To keep track of you, falling through the sky. We're half awake in a fake empire. We're half awake in a fake empire.
All right. It's a 1-section song. What's really interesting about this, though, where usually when we see stuff like this, we explore more melodic and harmonic complexity through the additional layers. Here we are exploring a primarily rhythmic complexity through layers. Every new instrument we add brings about a new polyrhythm to it. Even when we start with our first 2 layers, which are our 2 hands on the piano, our lower one and our higher one, there is a small rhythmic divide between them. It starts out very close. Like I had mentioned, the bass The lower tone is providing like a 16th note pickup into the downbeat, which our higher tones are landing on. They eventually become more and more disjointed here, where by the end of this section, when we begin to bring in the drums, they feel like they're two entirely different lines. They're started similar and slowly began to drift apart. The drums come in and bring in the core beat of the song. With the piano, I felt it was in 4/4, but once the drums come in and eventually the horns, we realize it's been in 3/4 or possibly 6/8, depending on how you're feeling the double time or half time, um, the entire time. It's been in 3. It feels like it's been 4. It feels stable, but it actually isn't. It's completely unstable. We have uh, what is it? A non-symmetrical time signature. Um, and so when it comes in, we get this very harsh 3/4 polyrhythm. And this is the first big notion that I feel with this track. Before that, it was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. We have this, this rhythmic divide, but now it's not just a rhythmic divide, it's a completely misunderstanding or difference of opinion of what the core pulse of the song is. It's not just about being rhythmically separated, but the sheer understanding of the foundation is there's a division there. um, it only gets more and more complex as more instruments come in and continue to bring in not just different polyrhythms, but also different rhythmic syncopations, where the drums gave us every single beat to very solidly solidify. Great wordsmith there. To solidify the heartbeat of the song. The horns come in with the da 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 da, and we have all these syncopated pickup notes into this syncopated rhythm. Like even if you just take the downbeats, there's a syncopation in that against the pulse of the song. Putting a syncopated pre-step on top of the syncopated rhythm is only going to add more complexity to it. And what's interesting is it almost feels like a song that is built like an upside down pyramid where the foundation is not stable, but they continue to add more complexity on top of it, really digging into the instability of the song as a whole. Um, it's a really interesting thing to go on. I don't know what it means, why they would go for it. It feels jammy and, well, no, not like a jam band. It feels groovy in some sections. I can kind of get into what it's doing, but it's also very rhythmically jagged in a lot of places, making it difficult to follow. But that's just musically. Oh, here's something interesting, but oh, actually, it's not really interesting. The hi-hat was doing something different than the snare and bass kick, and I was going to say that the drums were actually divided, but they weren't because the hi-hats were just doing eighth notes in the 3/4. We were still getting pockets of 6 and 12. We weren't falling into the 4/4 that the pianos were in. So, anyways, completely aside from that, though, the song is grounded. It is rooted, though, in the vocals. I don't know if it's just the smooth rhythm that they're sung in, if it provides a sort of rhythmic foundation for everything else. I don't know if it's just the lower tone of it, very peaceful delivery of it all that helps ground everything. But despite all of the rhythmic jagginess, it's still semi palatable, which is something really weird to say for a song dealing with so many polyrhythms. But it does have a pulse to it that kind of works. I don't know if that was. I mean, it's got to be intentional, right? Pushing the rhythm as far as it can go without allowing the song to break down, without moving into free jazz or anything in that realm, without really pushing into experimental. Staying within the realms of more traditional conservative composition, but going as far away from a typical everything follows the beat format. And through that, a lot of the music ends up being very rhythmic oriented. I can't really say there are too many melodies going on in here. Even that really catchy brass line is primarily its primary addition to the track is the rhythmic syncopation. The notes selected are bright and poppy, but it's not what I think is the core aspect. If it was done with just a single note playing the rhythm, it would feel very similar. The notes allow it to bring a brightness to the track, but that's not the core purpose of it. And I get that feeling because the piano's primary purpose is atmosphere and rhythm. Because without the piano laying down a strong sense of rhythm and division of rhythm, the drums coming in with a polyrhythmic idea would not have hit as hard. Rhythm is so important to this that the concept of building a song up by layers, slow burn style, primarily focusing on rhythmic juxtaposition is it's the core of the song, it's the heartbeat of it. It's what the song is about. At least musically, it feels like building something wrong. I don't know if that's what they're going for. Building something wrong but having it get done right, getting to the right conclusion through the wrong process. Although even that's a bit off because I'm not going to say that the song is done well. It's still very rhythmically unpalatable. And while I could find some groove to it, it is not a groovy song. But it has the illusion of being done well, right? It has the illusion of a good pop song or a good folk song. But when you look at it, you really look at it, you see the faults and cracks. But if you look from far away, it looks like it's actually well done. Yeah, I don't know what it all means, but that's definitely what I feel out of this. Um, I think that's everything I want to say about it. Let's dig into some lyrics here. So we have a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Excellent. Very folk-like, which matches the vocal style. Um, Stay out super late tonight, picking apples, making pies, put a little something in our lemonade, and take it with us. Hmm. I have no idea. I mean, it's all very straightforward. Maybe it's supposed to be straightforward. Stay out super late, pick apples, make pies, put something in a lemonade, and we're going to take it with us. The chorus says we're half awake in a fake empire. It says it twice and then moves on. Verse 2 says, tiptoe through our shiny city with our diamond slippers on, do our gay ballet on ice, bluebirds on our shoulders. So this is interesting. I don't know what it is about this specific verse that kind of slipped me on to Americana in general. Well, the first verse is Americana. It just dawned on me, apple pies and lemonade. I don't know if that's the same for everywhere else and their perception of of US. But for me, apple pies and lemonade are very American. They're very southern, but very American. But by itself, that first verse doesn't give me those intentions, that sort of angle. It isn't until verse 2 when it says, tiptoe through our shiny city with our diamond slippers on. Something about those lines made me think of New York City, maybe even during its heyday. You know, we can say, the 20s or 50s, when people put on their rose tinted glasses and think back about what life was like back then, for a predominantly white society. I'm not going to say that minorities necessarily view the 20s or 50s as uh, you know the heydays, the best times. But for white folk in America, in New York City, I kind of get this image. You put on your shiny slippers, you go explore the shiny city, life is good, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. You do your gay ballet on ice, and the bluebirds are on your shoulders. Everything's just perfect. And I think the bluebirds, too, Reminds me a lot of like Disney princesses and perfection and singing to birds. And that kind of put me back into that old timey making pies kind of idea. Pies and lemonade, very southern hospitality. Verse 3 says, Turn the light out, say goodnight, no thinking for a little while. Let's not try to figure out everything at once. It's hard to keep track of you failing through the sky, falling through the sky. You're half awake in a fake empire. I don't know. So, like, verses 1 and 2 are about the pleasures of living, right? Making delicious pies and sipping on lemonade in cool breezes and enjoying the big cities. And then verse 3 says you go to bed and just stop thinking about stuff because you can't figure it all out at once. It's hard to keep track of you falling through the sky. We're half awake in a fake empire. I don't know. I feel like I'm right on the cusp of this, but I don't know what angle it's going for. Like the fake empire thing, I think is I mean it's because the two verses kind of put me into the idea of Americana and American city. Actually, that's it too. Is the first verse is American country living, and the second verse is American city living. That's where they put me. But it also could be completely biased by my experiences as well. These could be just as relatable to any other country that has, a country area and a city area. Specifically, verse 2, I think, could apply to any big city. Verse 1, I'm still not sure. Apple pies and lemonade, like I said, to me are very American. Maybe other countries do have associations with those two foods, though. So, like I said, I could be wrong here. But because I see it through the lens of America, when I see the fake empire idea, it makes me think that they're critiquing the American life, or even America as a country, that we are a fake empire, which, I mean, I can't disagree with. I once saw somebody describe America as a third world country in a Gucci belt, and that sentence has stuck with me for a very long time, especially as I continue to see the rising number of homeless people and people living in poverty and the rising number of people who need government assistance to do stuff. Like, we don't treat our people very well, but we are a rich nation, right? So is that what they're going for? Fake, like we put on the front a mask that we're this big important country, but honestly, we're not that great. But then is the song even about the U.S.? Like that's where I keep coming from, and I don't know exactly what they're going on here. And then the idea of trying to figure out why we're falling from the sky. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of get everything, but I don't know how much of that is me putting myself into the song and how much of it is authorial intent. And that's making me question connections between stuff. So, I mean, I guess if you know what the song is about or if you have your own interpretation of it, let me know in the comments. But those are my thoughts on the Nationals' fake empire. Oh, snap, those are not the end of my thoughts. Okay, so assume with me for a second that I'm right. I don't know that I am, but it doesn't matter, okay? Any country, any empire that is fake, it has the perception of being real, but when you peer closely, you can see that there's actually a lot of problems with this country or empire or nation or whatever, and it's not as great as they tell people they are. That's kind of what the music is doing, right? It feels like a typical folk pop track. But when you look closely, you can see that it's actually not a typical folk pop track, and there's actually a lot of problems with it. Rhythmically, nothing really lines up, nothing's working together. It's kind of a fake pop rock track or pop folk track. it has the illusion of a good one, but it's not. I wonder if that's what it's about, because I mentioned that the song was about building blocks, of building these metric layers on top of each other, rhythmic layers on top of each other, and they weren't fixing the ones below them, and it felt like it was a upside down pyramid where the foundation was not strong enough to support everything that was above it, and at any moment it could really fall and topple, and empires can fall and topple, and it usually falls from the inside, from the foundation, from the working class. Okay, again, I don't know if this is about the US, but the idea of a fake nation or a fake empire and the people within it just going about their daily lives, not realizing all the faults and cracks in the empire feels so much about listening to this song and just kind of going with it and not realizing that there's so much metric dissonance going on in it. I don't know, I could be grasping at straws here. Those are my thoughts on the Nationals' fake empire. I hope I'm right because it's a very neat parallelism between the musical themes and the lyrical ones from what I understood. I think I have a strong reading on the musical themes, not too sure about the lyrical ones, but if I'm right, it's actually a really well put together song. And I'm hoping somebody in the comments is like, Bryan, you were real close. This is what it's actually about, but you were right about your thematic parallelism. And I'll be like, yes, that'd be so, because it's so good. I want to be right about this, not for my own ego or self-esteem or whatever, but because I really want this song to have that cohesion because it's super neat. I really want to point to this and say, yeah, this is why they did these decisions rather than say they made a song and made some lyrics on the side and just put them together. This was the last song they had that wasn't on the cutting room floor, and these were the last bit of lyrics they had, and they smashed them together and said, that's our final track for the album, print it. I want to be able to point to this and say this is a fantastic example of marrying music and lyrical themes. So hit me up in the comments, and if it's true, please let me know that this is what they were going for. Otherwise, let me know what's up. Let me know what's going on in this track. What your thoughts are, if you enjoyed it, the usual stuff. Above the comment section, description box, link tree, support the channel, Discord, email, listen to what I've been doing. I'm missing a lot of words, but you guys know the drill by now. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. You know where they're located. We have a special selection coming up. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. We'll continue on with this week's theme and check out another special selection. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.